Showtime! Oh, and we've got comments. Yay.
Woo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Monday. We hope you have adjusted to daylight savings time. I know I took full advantage of that extra hour of sleep, but then today it was like I didn't want to get up. Yeah.
Yes, I think I've been in a coma the last couple days, but it's probably just because I'm running myself ragged. But that night of the extra hour was perfect timing. I was so excited. I slept like 10 hours, which
Yeah,
never
well,
happened.
the problem was our cats were not informed about daylight savings time, and
Pumpkin.
we have a new kitten, yes, and he, under the best of circumstances, he wants to be up and playing and eating at like the crack of dawn. And yeah, the time change did not agree with him. He was literally chewing on my toes to be like,
Oh
"It's time for you to get up." So
no.
yes,
Oh,
but
he's cute though.
he's still so cute.
So
Yes.
cute. It's like they're all cute, but he's like extra cute.
Yeah, yeah, it's like if you put a picture up of the live action Simba from the remake of The Lion King, like in those that first scene with little, tufts of hair in his ears, that's pretty much like the
Oh,
live action model. So
is he still cuddly?
he is moved. The first few days he was like sleeping on my chest, like he thought I was his mom. Now he's moved on to Genevieve. He was moved on to my wife, and he's seriously attached to her. But he still will like sit on my lap, and he's into being held like a baby, so you can
Oh
just like hold him
my
in one arm.
so jealous because you don't know what's gonna, what their personality is gonna be. Oh,
Welcome to the Cats and Attractions podcast. We are a little bit of attractions, but we are mostly cats.
yeah.
All no,
Oh,
no, you have come to the right place. This is attractions, and we'll move on now from the kitten talk. Say hi to some folks in the chat before we kick off the show. Hello to John Self, who's on his way to Universal. Surprise, surprise! I've John at Universal. That's never happened before.
never.
Uh, Hello to Blossom and Terry and Derek's Corner. Brian, welcome. James Cameron, talking about the possibility of there only being 3 Avatar films instead of 5. What we're talking
Yeah.
about. We'll see. You know what, I say never bet against James Cameron. But I remember before Terminator 2 came out, and it was the most expensive movie ever, and everyone was like, this is going to fail. And then the same thing when Titanic came out, and then when Avatar came out. So I'll wait and see. But and hello to Chris, or AKA Sunny
Sunny
Eclipse,
Eclipse.
saying hi in the comments. Thank you to all of you for joining us, and the dozen or so other of you watching. We are going to kick this one off in 3, 2, and 1.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 164 of the Attractions Podcast, sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. I'm Seth,
And I'm Carly.
and we are here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. And Carly, you've been on the road. How have you been?
Ooh, it's been a 10-day epic adventure. I closed out Halloween at Not Scary Farm and Oogie Boogie Bash on Halloween night, which was
Oh,
really special. That's my favorite Disney Parks after hours event. And I had a friend that just so happened to have an extra ticket, and I was like, me, I'll go.
sure. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
How much candy did you bring back?
A lot. I
I
give it away to
Bags.
children that I know, and it was the first night I did Oogie Boogie Bash for the D23 night, everything was Starburst, and I give it to my friend's kid, and he's like, "Why is it all Starburst?"
That's for me. That's like the modern equivalent of like Tootsie Rolls. When I was a little
Yes.
kid, the filler candy was the Tootsie Rolls. Yeah, now it's Starburst.
And I like those, but I can see how little kids like, I want chocolate, I want Snickers,
It's
but it was a little
Snick
better this time.
Seriously, like I find that Snickers, I mean, unless you are nut intolerant, Snickers is
Right.
probably like the most universally accepted. Uh, you know,
Oh, yeah.
Milky Way might be up there. I personally love Three Musketeers, but
Ooh, I'm a Reese's gal, so I
yes,
like
oh,
those.
yes, I would say that too.
But it was amazing. I
Now
was
I'm hungry for
confused with the
chocolate. Damn.
parade. The parade is like my favorite. Not even much of
Yes,
a parade person. I love the music. Nightmare Before Christmas. It was wonderful, and then I
and
went right to
and
Disney World.
and how was the Villains Grove walkthrough? Because that was my favorite part of Oogie Boogie.
Well, I didn't get to do it again this event because I had to take a red eye to Orlando. So I really just did the treat trails. I
It's a
didn't
hard
see,
knock life.
yes, I know. I saw Ernesto de la Cruz for the first time
Oh,
because the last event it was like 3 hours to see him. So we
mhm.
rope dropped to him this time, and it was worth it. It was really,
Awesome.
really worth it. So, oh, I'm already sad Halloween's over. It's just it's like our Super Bowl in theme park.
Yeah, I
It's sad.
well, this year, but I mean, I was a little Halloween fried before October even started. I It's a lot because it starts like late August now, and it's like 2.5 solid months of Halloween. So we actually took our first non-work vacation, though you will find some evidence of my non-work vacation posted up on attractions on our
Right.
website and our YouTube channel because I couldn't help myself. But we took a little cruise and we scheduled it over Halloween, mostly so that I would not buy bags of candy to give away to trick or treaters, which I would then mostly wind up eating
Right.
before the trick or treaters even arrived. In order to avoid that, we actually thought it was more cost effective to just book a cruise and get out of town for
You're
Halloween.
not wrong.
Had a really great time. And got back just in time to see Phantasmic on reopening night
Oh my god, I
at
forgot that was
Hollywood
this week too.
Studios. Yes, that was all the same week. So, yes, you were in town for that as well, correct?
Yes, I was at the rained out one, so we
Mhm.
only got about halfway through, but I got a picture with Sorcerer Mickey, so it was
That
all worth
totally
it.
worth it, totally worth it, and
It was
so I saw those reports, I felt so bad. I know, our publisher, Matt, was
yes.
there, and
Mhm.
they got drenched too. So did you have a poncho or an umbrella, or did you get soaked?
I don't mind getting wet, especially at the end of the day when you know you're gonna take a shower, but I was with a friend and we ran. Lucky we did because we got right in the car and out. I know Matt was stuck for an
There were people
hour.
stuck in that parking lot for
Yes.
oh,
We
man.
we ran like the wind. I'm like, "I'm not getting stuck in this storm," but the energy, I mean, no regrets. The energy in there was amazing. It's a show
Yeah.
that people love. It's a great show. I saw some of the new updates, but again, it stopped about halfway through it because of an insane storm. Typical Florida, but
Oh,
it was
that's
warranted. It was very, very heavy thunderstorm and rain. So
that that's
50.
that's heartbreaking, but yes, you're in Florida, that happens. It's so funny in California, they have like a light gust of wind 1,000 feet up, fireworks get canceled.
Right.
Here in Florida, they will keep it going right until the last possible second until it's like declared a hurricane, and then good luck, everyone.
Right. So I was hoping to make I love the Disneyland one, but I don't like standing there. So it is really nice at Phantasmic at
Yeah.
Hollywood Studios. You have to get there early because it's not
You
even
know,
there.
it's 6 to 1 half to do you wanna stand during the show, or do you wanna stand for 2 hours before the show?
Right.
I we could have a long conversation about crowd control operations, especially I was there on reopening night, and
Mm,
I got there in plenty of time for the 8 o'clock show, and I made a strategic decision to bail on the 8 o'clock and just wait it out to the 9:30 because there was a lot of chaos, and I think part of that was expected because, they're fans and vloggers who need to be there for the first reopening show.
Mhm.
But it seemed like the only people who didn't expect that was the Disney management. I knew it was going to happen. The
Wow. Right.
guests around me knew it was going to happen, but the people who were supposed to be, I saw way too few frontline people and way too many managers talking amongst themselves and not actually helping the situation. To the point, I had time to go on Rise of the Resistance and come back and see that nothing had changed. So
Do you have any tips for people?
yes, I mean my number one tip is always go for the later show. The 9:30 show is always going to be less crowded. Be prepared though, that 9:30 show, at least the night I was there, that started almost a full half hour late. They didn't even really start loading the theater until um
Wow.
until it started. And whether you stand outside the theater for 3 hours or you jump into that line just when it starts moving, either way, you're probably going to be sitting at the far extremes, because what I discovered was that the entire middle section, at least on the night I was there, and this is before they've even got dining packages, but for
Mhm.
various, disability and VIP and who knows how these folks got in but everything was marked off as reserved. And the people in the whole middle section, they had a lot of elbow room. People were able to man spread in the middle section. All of the normal people I saw who waited for basically from the second that they cut off the line from the 8 o'clock show until they let the 9:30 show in, pretty much all those people were shoved in the far extremes.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want a center seat for Phantasmic, it really seems like the only way to do it is to pay for it, is to get one of those reservations for dining at the Brown Derby or the Hollywood and Vine. Otherwise, the good news is that like the screens look really sharp, the lighting looks great, so you'd still get a good show, even if you're sitting at the edges.
Right.
Um,
When you're in the center seeing Sorcerer Mickey shoot out at the vantage point is really
It,
good.
yes, amazing. But unless you want to become a famous journalist like Carly, your best bet is, yeah, either pay money, or if the later show that you go to. And I did find that if you wait for that standby queue for that later show is going to stretch all the way down Sunset Boulevard until it hits Hollywood Boulevard. A great thing to do is to get in that line right when it kind of hits that intersection of Sunset and Hollywood, because you can watch the 8:40 and the 9 o'clock projection shows on the Chinese theater
Yes.
while you're standing there in line. So I actually had a perfect view of the projection shows that made the wait a lot easier.
Right. And also with like snacks and water, I would say get it before you get in line and don't get it once you're in the
I
theater.
I saw way too many
Oh,
people who stood in line with me a long time and then wound up missing the first 10 minutes of the show because they were still waiting in line for
right.
popcorn or whatever.
Get it
Yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah.
You have to eat it.
If you're with a group of people, like just rotate, like
Right. Yeah.
the old days of like
Bathroom.
waiting in line for a concert. You get one
Yeah.
person to stand there and camp out your spot and have a friend go and fetch your drinks or whatever for you. Um, but gee, Disneyland used their show pass system, which was basically like a fast pass
Mhm.
system for reservation system for a while. And maybe it's time for them to think about using virtual queue or something. I don't want to have to pay to see Phantasmic, but I also, hopefully the demand will die down and the
I think
operations will
so.
improve, and this won't be an issue in a month or a year. But yeah, I'm glad I got to see the show, and I got to say, like I said, lighting and effects look great, and the new segment, especially the Moana part, fantastic, so good. Um, it's I still like California's better, but now they're kind of like almost as good instead of like a huge gap in quality. So
Yes. Well, I'm glad we talked this through. I'm about to write like tips for viewing Phantasmic, and it's so complicated. So I feel like it'll be really helpful,
yeah.
to put this out there.
All right. So obviously we have people in the chat who are complaining that we're not on topic, and we've gone way too much into.
Fantasmic was major news this week.
It was major news, but I believe they are correct. It is time for us to jump into the news in the queue. All right, to kick off this
Yay.
week's news in the queue, yes, we are going to Universal Orlando. Halloween Horror Nights 31 has wrapped up, but boom, we have the first house reveal for Horror Nights 2023, and it's Chucky. He's
Yay.
back.
I'm so excited for this. So this is based on not, the original movies. This is on the USA and Sci-Fi series, which they
Yes.
have been plugging hard in both Hollywood and Orlando
Yes.
for a while with the photo setups and whatnot. So it's not really surprising.
Yep. So 2023, we are going to have a house, and it's going to be both at Universal Orlando and in Universal Studios in Hollywood for next year's event. So Halloween Horror Nights 2023 or Halloween Horror Nights 32, depending on which coast you're on. And I have not watched all the episodes of the series, but I got into it after doing an interview with Alex Vincent, who was the child actor in the original series and then came back to be part of this new show. And it's really well done. I thought the series strikes a really good balance between the horror of the early Chucky films and the kind of campy comedy of the later ones, but it's also got a lot of heart, social commentary. So it will be interesting to see how all of that translates. But I hope that they get Brad Dourif to record some lines, some dialogue for the houses. I think that would be great.
Yes, I think this is going to be great. It's giving me flashbacks to, the scare zones where he was in the street berating people. I forget what year that was. Maybe 2019 was the last time. Do you remember that when he'd interact with you?
Yes. I believe back in the day they had something called Chucky's Insult Emporium.
Yes.
And they would have kind of a live actor making fun of guests, and we'll see. I don't know how far they'll be able to push the line these days, but yeah, it'll be great to have Chucky back.
Oh yeah,
and
just
and I like the fact
wildly
that
early.
the image we've got here also references Tiffany, and I think that's their kid Glenn or Glenda from
Yes.
Son of Chucky, or so yay, the whole family hopefully will be there. There's a little teaser video that they've posted, and of course we'll find more about Halloween Horror Nights over the next year.
Yes.
Okay, turning from Universal over to Disney. 'Tis the season for the wonderful world of Disney magical holiday celebration. The return of the Magic Kingdom tradition is coming soon. November 11th through 13th is when they're going to be filming this special that people will be able to watch at home.
Yes, and then you'll know it because you'll see throngs of people in their red and green ears, the outfits. So I know it's exciting because they bring in some really great musical acts every year.
Yeah, if you have a friend who is a Walt Disney World cast member, tell them to go to the hub and sign up like right now. Sign up started on November 1st. Some stuff might still be available. I'm not privy to that, but cast members can bring up to 3 guests. So make friends with a cast member.
Yes.
If you are not friends with a cast member, or you do not have an interest in being part of these, you might want to avoid the Magic Kingdom on these dates because
Right.
it's inevitable that certain areas of the park will be blocked off for filming. It will be hard to navigate. So if you're pushing a stroller, these might not be the best days. November 11th, 9 a.m. till noon. November 12th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then again till 4:30 p.m. and then 5 to 9 p.m. And then finally on the 13th, they've got a 12:30 to 4:30 and a 5 to 9. You might want to park hop over to a different park if you are just a guest. But if you want to catch a taping of this ahead of it being part of the ABC holiday lineup on November 27th, it's a 2-hour special that's going to broadcast then, and I'm sure it's also going to stream. This is a time to maybe catch a little preview of it. Have you ever gone to one of these tapings? I have. I know Banks Lee, who was old original member of the attractions team, used to go every year. I've never attended personally.
Yeah, it's not my style because it's a lot of stopping and starting and redoing, and
It's not as seamless as it looks on television.
right. I had my TRL days as a kid growing up, so
Yeah.
that was fun. But I like to watch it on TV in my pajamas.
Amen. Well, in speaking of Christmas, we now know what we can expect from SeaWorld Orlando's Christmas celebration for this year. It kicks off on November 11th and runs all the way through January 3rd. And there's going to be lots of family-friendly entertainment, lights, decor, and if you like to ice skate, this is the park to visit.
Yes, this is really cool. So you'll be able to ice skate during the day because in the evening they bring in the pros. So.
Yes, it's fun to watch people trying to make their way around, by daylight, and then you see these professional trick skaters show off in the Winter Wonderland on Ice show. That's one of my favorite traditions there at SeaWorld. And they've also got a great holiday light fountain fireworks show. With the Sea of Trees and the Holiday Reflections show. They light up these synchronized light Christmas trees on the lake, and it's really beautiful.
Right. And then there's going to be different themed areas. So they're kind of each distinct. There's 4 different ones with decor, themed entertainment, and then also, of course, photo opportunities with Santa and Rudolph. So
yeah, I thought it was interesting. They're mixing stuff up a little bit. This year, Santa's going to be with his workshop in the waterfront, and they're moving Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Bumble inside this time to Wild Arctic. So if you've gotten the same backgrounds with those characters for the last few years, now you've got an excuse to get a new photo with them. And speaking of IPs, Sesame Street gets into the Christmas spirit with a really great Christmas parade, and Elmo's Christmas Wish. It's a show that they do in the Seaport Theater. It's got Cookie Monster and Grover, a lot of favorite characters. Those are definitely worth checking out if you got little ones.
Oh, yeah. And of course, it wouldn't be SeaWorld without food and beverage offerings. So there's going to be bread pudding, a rose con dulce, Santa's sweet and savory treat donut chicken sandwich, which we actually have a picture of. And it looks interesting. Not sure how I feel about the donut, sweet and savory combos with the donut bun, but I would have a bite of it and maybe share.
I would, actually, I could get into a donut chicken sandwich, but it's the Christmas beer sangria that I need a little more explanation on, because I know what a wine sangria is, but I don't know if I've ever had a beer sangria.
It's kind of reminding me of a michelada, which they do a lot at West Coast parks. Maybe I could be totally off base.
I can see that.
Citrus and beer, who knows? But
and for those of us who are celebrating Hanukkah, from the 18th through the 26th of December, you can celebrate a traditional menorah lighting with Big Bird telling Hanukkah stories.
I love that.
Well, Big Bird was very close with Mr. Hooper, who was Sesame Street's resident member of the tribe. So I like that he's keeping his spirit alive after all these years. Head on over to SeaWorldOrlando.com for more details on all of the holiday fun. And if you like that, you're also going to like Busch Garden Tampa Bay's Christmas Town. From the November 14th through January 9th, Busch Gardens in Tampa is celebrating with their award-winning attractions, treats, and they've got some new holiday entertainment as well.
Yes, and I hear millions of lights, and that just gets me excited because you know you're going to be walking through some pretty epic installations.
Yeah. The great thing about Busch Gardens is that it is a very wild feeling park. It's, everything is pathways that twist and turn and lots of trees, and it's perfect for setting up
Mhm.
these canopies of lights, these pathways. They do a really great job with that. And some of the extra bling this year is going to include a 32-foot tall Christmas tree in the Jungula area, and a Land of the Sweets with sugar plum ballerina stilt walkers. That should be a lot of fun.
Yes, there's definitely a lot going on. And there's the Three Kings Journey, which is a musical tale, obviously telling of the three wise men journey to Bethlehem. So they have a lot going on. I actually haven't gone to this one, but
Yeah.
I think this might be my year.
Yeah, I have. It's been a few years for me. SeaWorld and Busch Gardens always do really good
Mhm.
traditional Christmas stuff. Their new addition this year is Holiday in the Sky, which is a holiday fireworks show that also includes a water fountain show. So
Ooh.
uh, that's going to be new for them. And also the Serengeti Overlook building. They've got a musical light projection show that's going to run every 15 minutes after sunset. So the Three Kings Journey, I'm curious what that one is like. One of my favorite things that they used to do at SeaWorld was the manger show.
Mhm.
Uh, oh my gosh, because I'm Jewish, I'm
Sorry.
forgetting. But with the three wise men telling the Christmas story with the live animals. So since they have so many animals on hand at Busch Gardens, I wonder if they'll pull out any camels or donkeys.
Right.
At least a sheep or two. At least a sheep or two, please.
It would bring the nativity to life.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is all taking place and included in your regular park admission. And if you buy an annual pass now for 2023, you get to check out this during the current year included. So head on over to buschgardens.com/Tampa for all the deets. I just said deets. That didn't sound that I really
Ooh,
didn't that didn't
a
I apologize.
millennial.
I apologize. Dollywood's Smoky Mountain Christmas is going to be bigger than and better than ever in 2022, and I bet you are going to be able to tell us all about this when you return.
Yes, I will be able to. They bring over 5 million lights to the park. It's amazing because you're already in just a gorgeous, setting. The Smoky Mountains are the backdrop of the park. So it's
I,
beautiful anyway.
I'm so jealous. Hopefully one of these days I will be able to take them up on their invitation to
Yes.
attend one of these events. It kicked off on November 5th and it runs all the way through New Year's Day. And they are adding new lighting elements this year to the Dollywood Express train loop with a special light show that you are going to see as you loop around the park.
Right. Yeah. And they have all different light zones. So basically, they cover all different themes. The Glacier Ridge Returns, which is a really popular one that everyone
Mhm.
loves. And then, of course, there's LED butterflies because
Ah,
it is Dolly's icon.
that's fantastic. Yes. If you are there on a Friday or Saturday night, they are bringing back their merry and bright fireworks with upbeat holiday tunes. And after Christmas Day, it becomes a New Year's show.
Yes, and then it's wonderful. Their evening spectacular. They brought in the drone shows earlier this year, so they keep upping their game with
Hmm.
that, and it's pretty impressive. And
Yeah,
then,
they win awards with their regular live entertainment, but
Mhm.
they go all out with their Christmas shows. You
Oh
could
yeah,
you could easily go there, not ride any of the rides, and just get your money's worth seeing the Christmas live
oh
entertainment.
yeah. I know a lot of annual pass holders do that there. They
Hmm.
just go and watch the shows all day. Retiree couples. I mean, there's just so much. And with each new festival, they bring in shows that are unique to that festival, like Christmas, obviously, in addition to
Yeah.
all their normal entertainment.
Yeah, and I mean, if we start talking about the food, then I'm just gonna have to leave and go get some lunch because
pie.
It all sounds so good. You can snack or have a full meal. They got the ham, they got the chicken pot pie, they got the herb roasted turkey. It's like
Yes, they
Thanksgiving
have
every day.
like the booth set up like a traditional food festival, and then they
Mhm.
also bring in seasonal items to their existing restaurants. And just the last couple of years, they have just jumped leaps and bounds in their food and beverage for festival. Their food has always been great because it's that whole Southern barbecue, but they've really paid attention when they made a full executive chef just for food festivals.
Mm.
So the food was really, really good. And you could just try one or two things or a bunch and share, but it's definitely become a highlight and a reason why many visit.
Absolutely. Dollywood.com for all the information. And I know you're tight with Dolly. You're going to be hanging out with her, I'm sure. So tell her Merry Christmas from us at Attractions.
Yes.
Hershey Park, another
Mhm.
one of our favorites.
Yeah.
They made a big announcement, and I think we kind of called this when we talked about the death of the Wildcat. Well, the Wildcat's back, and it's getting its revenge as a hybrid coaster.
Yes. Yeah, this is really exciting. And honestly, a quick turnaround from when they closed it to when they're announcing it. So this is
Absolutely.
exciting. If you have ever been on Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City,
Hmm.
this is same company, very similar.
Hmm.
It's a great coaster. So this is going to be amazing.
Yeah, if you remember from a few weeks ago, Hershey Park announced that they were retiring the Wildcat, which was actually the very first wooden coaster ever built by GCI back in 1996.
Yeah.
I remember riding this the year that it opened, and this kind of sparked a wave of um new wooden coasters. Gwazi, which is now Iron Gwazi, the same company. I think that was maybe the third coaster that they built. It was very popular for a little while in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then as these coasters started to age, they got less and less comfortable.
Yeah.
I remember the last time I rode Wildcat, I was like, that's the last time I'm riding Wildcat. And I was right. So so this is Rocky Mountain Construction,
Mhm.
who have been doing these hybrid conversions, and they've given new life to a bunch of these old GCI coasters that probably, without Rocky Mountain, they probably would have torn these down. But instead, they put this new track on. It's a lot smoother, can go a lot faster, can do inversions, can be much steeper. But it still retains some of that wooden coaster profile and that look and that feel. This one's not really as much of a record breaker. Like Iron Gwazi was like the steepest,
Right.
tallest, fastest, whatever. This is like, fits in a little better to Hershey Park,
Mhm.
but it's still got some cool sort of unique elements. The big one is this world's largest underflip. And I wasn't even really sure what an underflip was,
Right.
because I don't know that I ever heard that, but it's an inversion where it kind of climbs up and then it goes counterclockwise, like 3/4 of the way around, and then it dives down without making a full roll. So it's sort of like a zero G thing.
Right.
It should be interesting. But you're gonna go upside down 4 times. You're gonna hit 62 miles an hour. I think this one's gonna be a hit.
I think it will be a hit. And just, that area of the park that it's in, it's so pretty. You could see a lot of Hershey when you go up there. So
Mhm.
I'm excited for this. I loved Wildcat. I know a lot of people, didn't like it towards the end because of how bumpy it was, but I am really excited for this one.
Absolutely. And I think, some people don't know that this is actually the third Wildcat, not the second, because way back in the day, Hershey Park goes back way further than Disneyland. Back in 1923, they had a roller coaster called the Wildcat,
Mhm.
and that lasted, into the 40s. But they are going to kind of recreate the look of the original station when they renovate the station. And I also like that they've got custom trains. They're not just picking off the shelf trains, but they've
Yeah.
got a cat bursting out of the front. So my kitten will definitely appreciate this ride. I think they'll probably be too short to ride, though.
Yes, and if you're still feeling nostalgia, they are selling pieces of track from Wildcat, so that's important to know. I think it's in park only, though, from what I've read, but that is pretty cool.
If anyone is in the Hershey area and wants to send us a piece of track, please, we won't complain.
No.
HersheyPark.com will be tracking all of the progress. I'm very excited. Can't wait to ride this one sometime in summer of 2023. Okay, and to wrap up the news in the queue, Oasis at Lakeport is going to bring thrill and family rides to Lake of the Ozarks in the Midwest in Osage Beach, Missouri.
Yeah, so this is just outside of Branson. It's not too far. It's already a destination with some hotels so far, but it's kind of been a largely untapped area. And I feel like as Branson continues to grow, they need to bring in more of these, family entertainment spots.
So this is being developed by the St. Louis-based Skyview Partners and Tegeroff Development. It's going to be on 20 acres on the waterfront, and it's going to have a mix of rides, attractions, hotels, restaurants. It's got an amphitheater, and it looks like the centerpiece is a 200-foot tall observation wheel.
Yeah, this is interesting because there's also the Branson wheel not too far from here, but that's always very popular. So I'm not really surprised that they're going to, have another one for families to experience.
Now, they have not, it doesn't look like they have officially announced any specific rides or manufacturers, but they've got a rendering here, and we don't know if this is like a blue sky, pitch it to developers kind of rendering, or we've actually done architectural plans rendering. But it looks like there's some roller coasters, there's some water slides. It looks like a drop tower to me, and I also see what looks like a sky coaster, like they have down at Fun Spot. One of those kind of skydiving drop things. Couple flat rides, and a marina. So if you have a yacht, this might be a nice place to park it.
Right. Yeah, that area has pretty much just been like a water sports and such kind of thing. People go bring their boat, rent a boat. So I'm sure this will give them something else to do without having to drive into Branson.
Yeah. Well, they are looking to make this a year-round entertainment destination. They're going to spend $300 million on the project, and they're estimating 500 jobs. If you do the math, that's a lot of money per person. But they plan on attracting 500,000 visitors to Missouri, and they think this will become one of the state's leading industries. So ground is going to break sometime in 2023, and they're hoping to open this by the summer of 2024. If you are interested in more on this project, head on over to oasis@lakeport.com. And that is going to wrap up our news in the queue. But before we jump into this week's main attraction, it is time to hear a word from our sponsor.
The Attractions Podcast is brought to you by MEI and MouseFan Travel. Whether your next vacation is a magical trip to the theme parks, an exciting adventure to the pyramids of Egypt, or just a relaxing cruise on the turquoise waters of the Bahamas, MEI Travel provides premium service and expert advice to help you get the most of your vacation. They are always free of any hidden fees or costs to you. Visit them at mei-travel.com.
It's time for the main attraction!
All right, and this week's main attraction is the worst kept secret in theme parks. Universal Orlando is finally closing KidZone and making way for, quote, new family entertainment. And they did this the way that they always do these things. Something that we've all rumored, talked about, speculated about forever, they just drop it on a random afternoon when I'm out of the country on vacation.
I think it was even nighttime. I think it was like 8 o'clock Eastern. I'm trying to remember. I was
Yeah,
traveling too, so
yeah,
I
it
think
was.
post time. It was late.
So KidZone, let's be honest, has been on the chopping block for longer than any theme park land than I can think of, except I don't know, maybe Chester and Hester's Dinorama. Like, we have been talking about KidZone closing and being replaced by one thing or another for almost 10 years now. In fact, in my unofficial guide to Universal Orlando, I've just wrote, I think was the 11th edition of that book. And I think from the second edition, I've been saying these attractions in KidZone might be closed by the time you read this book to make room for new attractions. And I've had to say that pretty much every year for like 10 years. Um, but it's finally happened. Where were you when you heard the news? This
I
would be
don't know,
like,
but I like some of I like Woody Woodpecker's coaster. I mean Fievel's, Playland. I mean that could just be nostalgia talking, but I mean this is not surprising. But
well,
I like it. It's a good kids space.
yeah. So, okay, so I'm gonna seriously date myself and say that I remember when I first went to Universal, that was where the Bates Motel and
Mm,
the Psycho House
yeah.
was. And Animal Actors was always there, and ET was always there. And ET and Animal Actors will still be there. To me, that's the most important part of that area, and they're not going away.
No.
I don't know that it's true that Steven Spielberg laid down in front of the bulldozer, and no. But yes,
Yeah.
ET will still be around, and we've got to talk a little bit about ET. But the rest of KidZone, which includes Fievel's Playground, Fievel Goes West, technically.
Mhm.
The Woody Woodpecker roller coaster, the Curious George Goes to Town playground, and Destination DreamWorks. If you remember that's there.
Right.
And
Hey,
unfortunately,
uh,
I'm so sorry for Shrek and Donkey, because they just got done relocating their swamp, and now they're being evicted from their swamp again. It's like Lord Farquaad is still around or something. Um, the we're gonna we'll talk about the attractions. The first thing we have to say is that this affects a lot of entertainment folks. There are people who were working the Superstar Parade that got shut down, and they got moved over to Destination DreamWorks, and they really do a great job there with the characters. I just walked in the other day, and there's
Mhm.
so much energy. They put so much heart into that, and there's not enough for little kids to do at Universal already. Everything's got a height requirement. Islands of Adventures got a lot of great playgrounds, but like this was pretty much it that you could do with a kid who was too short for any of the rides. So the faster they can turn this around and get whatever replaces it open, the better. But in
Right.
the meantime, my thoughts are with all of the entertainment staff, and I hope that they all get rehomed somewhere, because they all deserve to still be able to entertain.
Absolutely. I loved DreamWorks. I'm glad you brought that up because I thought that is one of the best character
Mhm.
areas, hubs. It's like a dance party in there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. They're
So
constantly
cool.
cycling in new characters. They do a variety of dance and interactive and photo ops, and it's an idea that I like that so much better than just standing in a line to just take a picture, move on.
Me too.
Um, and I hope that concept finds a new place. I
Mhm.
also, just my own personal nostalgia. When I was a Universal employee, Barney was the last show that I was a regular
Oh,
addition,
yeah.
and so that building, the show closed down, but the building became DreamWorks, and now it's likely that whole building will be torn down. So I get a little verklempt over that. But I would expect. My guess is that that roller coaster will probably be around with a new skin and a new theme, because you can
I like that roller coaster. I still go on it now as an adult.
go wrong with
It's
that. I
good.
still think that Flight of the Hippogriff is a slightly better coaster.
Mhm.
Kitty's is a perfect, your Kitty's first coaster, perfect first time coaster. Um, and I've heard various rumors. I think that what Universal really needs, in addition to more entertainment, and some other kind of meet and greet, I think it really needs an all ages dark ride. Something hopefully without restrictive lap bars like they have for Secret Life
Yeah.
of Pets. Something, if they could build an Omnimover dark ride based on one of these DreamWorks or Illuminations properties that they have, I think that would be the best. Something that you could ride without having to measure your kid before you get on it.
Right. Yeah. And I think still something where kids can run around, because that whole
Yes.
area, I mean, the water features alone are
Mhm.
so much fun. It's so well done. And it's really a spot that you can go there for a few hours if you have a little kid and
Yeah.
they can run around and enjoy themselves.
So obviously they're being very vague about what is going to go in there. I know over the last 10 years, I've heard and seen plans, like seen at various times, seen permits, seen actual plans for Nickelodeon with SpongeBob. I've seen at one point it was going to be our Super Nintendo World with the Mario Kart ride.
Yep.
It, Pokemon. I've heard Pokemon. I've heard that maybe they could wait until they lose the Simpsons license in a few years, whenever that happens, and tear all of that down. There are so many competing opinions, rumors, plans, proposals that it's way too soon to say what will happen, or even when it will happen. But yeah, if you love that Curious George ball pit, so much fun. Or that bizarre little slide in Fievel, or that little water slide that
It is
gets
so cool.
inexplicably wet.
During Mardi Gras this past one,
Yeah.
we had a few drinks and then we made a whole bunch of us.
Oh my God.
It is a bizarre water slide, but it is wonderful. So
Well,
I will miss it.
January 15th is your last chance to do any of that. It is going to all close down on January 16th. Now, we did mention that Animal Actors is staying put for now.
Right.
KidZone Pizza Company, which is never open anyway, except for like the month of the year that it sells pizza fries or whatever.
Right.
That's supposedly sticking around. And SpongeBob SquarePants and SpongeBob Store Pants and the SpongeBob SquarePants meet and greet are sticking around, but no one really is all that worked up about that. It's ET is what people would come with the torches and the pitchforks if they dared to tear that down. So I think the best sign that ET is sticking around for a little while longer is the smells have returned. Or there's so I've been around for a while, and I always remember the distinctive pine scent in the queue of ET. That tree, that forest smell, and over the years, it became less and less like pine trees, and more like dust and mildew and mold.
Dampness. Yeah,
Dampness.
like a wet smell.
And to the point where I don't know. And then COVID came around and we all lost our sense of smell anyway. But someone, there was a rumor going around for a while that the company that made the smells was out of business and that the smells were permanently gone forever. But one day, a week or two ago, someone flipped a switch or refilled a jar, and all of a sudden, you smell it again.
Oh, you do. I went on it yesterday.
Yeah.
You smell it. It is intense. Imagine like going into your grandmother's potpourri closet or something. It just hits you in the face. It's a lot. I mean, I liked it because I love that immersive thing, but It is intense.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, in the queue, the tree smell, the pine smell is definitely way more intense than I can remember smelling it in the last
Mhm.
2, 3, 4 years, even easily since before the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
Scent memory is tricky. Like, to me, it doesn't trigger quite the same memory as the smell from the 90s. And that could just be me and my nose cells being different, or it could be a different brand that they're using. Um, but I definitely notice it now. The two that really I noticed more than I can ever remembering, even going back 20 years, is when you go, that scene where you look out over the whole city and you see the tiny little lights of the cars. You smell an ocean smell now that totally reminds me of the old version of Soren.
Right.
And then when you hit ET's planet and everything is all devastated, it's kind of like borderline, burning the library in Rome,
I was just it
in
is
Spaceship Earth.
bone burning to me.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
oh,
And
it's just a scent
and
I love, but yeah.
I don't know if that was there all the time. There also used to be a lot of fog and steam in that, that's gone now. Where so it's dry, but you smell it. And I don't know if maybe the difference in the smell is that it used to be there back in the day, but when it was mixed in with the steam, that it changed the way it smelled. But right now, it's like I wanted to go home and get some marshmallows and roast over a campfire.
Right. And we
Uh,
have to mention Universal Orlando did tweet that there haven't been changes to the scents or the
Ye
company. So, I
yeah,
mean, take that as you want.
yes, yes, so it could be the Mandela effect, like, maybe we are all having a collective nasal delusion, but it it definitely there's stuff that I'm noticing that I hadn't noticed. If
Right.
it was always there, then it was hiding very well. So yeah, it's great to have that back, and, um maybe that means that they think ET is worth investing in. And if
It
they
is.
do, I encourage them to go online and watch some old YouTube videos about what the animatronics were capable of doing back in the 90s. And maybe I think that, the ride gets compared unfavorably to Disney's rides, because it has not been maintained. There are a lot of figures that are down to just moving their head left to right,
Right.
if that. When the ET used to conduct music in that big scene, with all the little baby ETs,
Mhm.
the baby ETs actually used to play their instruments instead of just holding their
Right.
mallets. And ET used to fluidly conduct with his heart. He was like the Elsa animatronic in
Right.
Frozen ever of his day. It was really cool. Go and watch some old tribute videos, and then let's get some engineers in there to, get them an oil can like the Tin Man and Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz, and let's get them all moving in. Especially Magdoll. Like, she
Oh,
is so creepy the way her head
God,
hangs at the wrong angle. She gives me nightmares. Let's get her working again too.
please. Let's bring him home. Let's make it happen.
Yes, yes. But I will say, for the first time in at least 2 years, ET said my name correctly. I was not friend. I was actually Seth,
I
and
was friend
it
yesterday,
it
and it
it made
always
my
hurt.
it made my heart light glow. It really did. All right. Well, I think, that about wraps it up. If you if you have thoughts and feelings about the closure of KidZone, please, message us, find us on our socials, and we'll discuss. We'll have a therapy session. We'll talk about it. Um, but that is all that we have. Before we go, we want to thank once again our sponsor, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And I want to remind you all, please give us a review on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review on Spotify and a rating. It really helps us out. And if you want to find more from us in Attractions Magazine on the interwebs, you can find me at the UG Series on Twitter, at the Unofficial Guides on Instagram, and pick up copies of my new 2023 books at theunofficialguides.com. Carly, where can everyone find you?
Yes, I am on Twitter at Carly Caramana and Instagram at Adventures by Carly. And this week I'll be sharing all the Christmas fun at Dollywood and Color City. So I
So
am
jealous.
stoked.
Very exciting. Definitely be following you. And you can follow the whole attractions team anytime at attractionsmagazine.com, at attractions on Twitter, at Attractions Magazine on Instagram, at youtube.com/attractionsmagazine, and on TikTok at Attractions. Until next week, I hope that you folks stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun. And we will see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.